welcome back to Update On. Now, I have the pleasure today to welcome Azar. We have been friends for years in Reston. We were in a writing group together forever. And strange thing, we are both trained in nutrition from very different cultures. Azar has put in more time than I have. So we thought we would start and see what we could do about nutrition now. Now, anything that you do when you're starting something new, there's no one thing for everybody. We are not exactly alike, right, Azar?
That's correct. Before I start, I would like to mention that this program is not for children. It's not for pregnant women. It's not for lactating or nursing women. And it's not for people with certain illnesses. Even if people are adult and they are healthy, still need to consult their physician before they start any kind of diet program or exercise programs.
Because we're all different and
Exactly.
we all need to make sure we're not going to hurt ourselves, because what is this funny norm might not be for us.
That's correct. That's the main reason. Sometimes they are underneath and hidden type of illnesses people may have that they don't know about it, and they need to find out before they start any diet or exercises.
And so we're talking about a general nutrition, but what's our theme today? What do we want people to take away from this?
In general, since this is the first program, and I would like people to learn about how to eat properly, how to take nutrition in, and how to purchase food that they are going to the grocery stores and all these things. I want you to learn about these things before we start any type of programs.
So that we go back to an educated consumer is a good consumer.
It's a good customers, yes.
Yes. Now, the biggest fallacy is portion size. In America, we supersize. And if we start off with that, our plates have gotten bigger. If you were to have an old 1929 house that had the kitchen cabinets, and you tried to put in today's plates, you couldn't close the doors, right?
No, it's not going to fit because our plates are gotten much larger than it used to be. And now that salad size plates, it used to be dinner size plates in those days, and that is actually the correct size of plates people have to take for food, because when you have a small size and when you fill it up, you can see that the plate is full. But when it is a large size and you put the correct amount of food in there, it doesn't look that much in it.
You look like, I'm not going to be full. I'm not eating anything here. Yeah, I was telling somebody yesterday who was complaining she had overeaten over the holidays, and she said, not to worry, I bought a scale. I'll weigh everything. And I said, you're going to make yourself crazy. Portion of protein is the size of a deck of cards.
I usually say, yeah, that's a portion of deck of cards. That sounds right.
Because other people will say, well, it's what can fit in your hand. Well, my hand, your hand are we have small hands. And a big guy would look at that and go, oh, that's nothing.
That's correct. In any nutrition program, we have to incorporate carbohydrates, protein, even fat. Because fat is what our brain gets, fed on. And also fiber. Water is very important. No matter how good of a diet you are on, if you don't have enough water in your body, it doesn't get absorbed into your cells. So water is very important. You can have water all day long. There is not, you don't get drowned in water, drinking water, But the best thing is to have between 8 to 12 ounces, 8 to 12 cups a day.
And we're talking an 8-ounce cup.
8-ounce cup, that's what I meant.
I know somebody that walks around, very healthy gentleman, walks around with a used juice bottle, and that he keeps filled up. That's how he checks. Walks into meetings with it. It's not something pretty, but that is the way he makes sure he's getting his water.
Any way you can get it, any way you can, any cup, I could put it in my cup, and any type of cups, that would be fine, as long as you know how much you're drinking every day. But when I say water, I mean water. I don't mean coffee, I don't mean tea, I don't mean juice, because these are, when you drink coffee or tea, they are diuretic. They go into your body because they have water, and that's fine, it's liquid. But when you go to the bathroom, you go twice as much. It would drain the water from your body. So it doesn't help you to have coffee or tea to begin with. Juice is okay if you make it yourself, but when you buy it from outside, it has a lot of sugar in it.
We met and we made a list, but you have sidebarred me. I've told you we do that. My big thing when I'm teaching kids is to read labels. And I have my own little thing. If my mother, who would be 103 now, or 104, if it was something she wouldn't recognize, it shouldn't be going in my body.
That is absolutely correct. That is in the ingredient. When you read the ingredients, if you don't understand the word, or if it is something that you cannot read it shouldn't go into your body, because those are the things that is not good for you.
A lot of things I believe that they've added to shelf-stabilize things, probably people are addictive to them. I notice, Azar knows I love to bake. I notice that certain people do not like my scratch cakes. Yeah, I have other cakes that or doctored up cake mixes. They think those are wonderful. Well, they have all these additives in them, and their bodies crave it.
Correct.
But that's not good for you.
That's why when we go to processed food, it's the same thing. It's not good for you too, not because of the additives and preservatives that they put in there. The least amount of ingredient in the food, the better for you. And the other thing is serving size. That's what you mentioned. It's very important.
Well, let's go to serving size. We've got a shall we say, appropriate plate size, and not an 11 or 12-inch one, or not the great big oval ones that the steakhouses serve steak and a big potato on. We have an appropriate size, and there's an easy way of doing it, right?
Right. The easiest way to do, imagine this plate in 4 portions. The first portion you put, you cut it in 4 segments. And first segment you put the protein. The second one you put your carbohydrate, and 2 portions for your vegetables.
And because vegetables are good.
Good for you.
And let's talk about vegetables. The easiest way is the brighter the color, the better it is for you, right?
The more color, the better for you. And also in greens, the darker they are, they're better for you.
So fall vegetables like pumpkin, and you can do things like that aren't pies with pumpkin.
Many, many, many different things. I make so many things with pumpkins that you can imagine. The way I cooked it last time, I took the pumpkin, I sauteed it with basically no oil in a pan that it is non-stick pan, and I just sprayed it in just in case if it sticks, and then with some other vegetables. I mixed them up with some other vegetables, and then I added quinoa on it. Quinoa is the best source of protein you can get. Quinoa is, it looks and feels like carbohydrate, but it's not actually carbohydrate, it's seeds. So since it is seeds, it doesn't have that much carbohydrate, but it has a lot of protein.
Superfood.
It's a superfood.
One that most people hadn't heard of 10 years ago, from South America. And, I'm thinking that we may be giving out recipes too, because we both love to cook. But that brings us, you were saying about protein. Protein just isn't a big piece of steak.
It's not. It can be anything. It can be beans. All kinds of beans. They have proteins in them, and lentil especially. It has a lot of protein. You can just cook it with plain water and add some salt and
a little
pepper,
salt,
and you can have it. It's so delicious. You don't have to do anything with it, and all kinds of beans. You can do, of course, quinoa.
And
it's protein.
And despite what people think, vegetables have protein in them.
Yes.
And what it is an incomplete protein because it doesn't have all the amino acids. If you really get into this, if you go to the Department of Agriculture, U.S. Department of Agriculture website, you could take a doctoral course with all the stuff on there, and they have the My Plate on there, which is what Azar started with, which is what is currently dealing with. It's not the basic 7 or the pyramid, and 50 years ago they made me learn the basic 11. I'm so glad I don't have to keep that straight anymore. This plate business is a whole lot easier. But we've said how to choose a plate. We've talked about vegetables and protein. We've talked about the goodness. Let's go to the dark side. What kinds of things should we avoid?
The most important thing is fried foods. What? Fried food we have to avoid. And foods that they have preservatives, and food that they are processed. One of the most processed food that people undermine it is tofu. Tofu is a processed food, and I never take tofu. I don't eat tofu. It is, they say it's good because it is from soy, and come to think of it, soy and corn is the most genetically engineered food in the United States. So those are not good for you because of that matter.
Because they're genetically engineered.
Exactly. Those are not a good food to take.
Well, all these people push tofu, and my daughter, the Eat Right person, exercise person, loves tofu. And I know that I've read all this stuff about soy, that Americans are eating too much soy, drinking soy milk and soy ice cream and soy this and soy that, and we're over-soyed.
Probably that's why they have to genetically engineer them so they can have them all the time. Because the crops, usually you have to let the ground rest for a year, and then second year to put the seed down and harvest them. And so if it doesn't happen that way, and they usually harvest 4 times a year, so they have to do something for this food to be able to grow faster. And that's one of the reasons they genetically engineer them, and that's not a good thing for us. The other thing is not good for us, mayonnaise, because it's full fat. And full fat salad dressings are not good. But low fat is okay. You can get low fat as much as you want, but not, don't indulge yourself in there. But non-fat, never. Because non-fat, they still put those preservatives and...
You start reading labels.
Yes.
And the heart doctor, who's had fits with me because I have to have a little coffee, and I can't drink it without cream, so I do non-fat, half and half. Well, read it. they've got salt and non-fat, half and half. Now, what are we doing with a milk product with salt in it? And they can be a lot of salt in it. So when you start reading these labels, boy, do you get surprised.
You do. You do. Reading the labels is very, very the most important. It's very important because the most important is people make mistake between the serving size and the box, for example. I was reading the box of cereal this morning at home. It said serving size 1 cup. For 1 cup, it had 200 calories. It had 2.5 grams of fat. It had 9 grams of fiber. And it had 24 grams of sugar. That is for 1 cup, not for the whole box. A lot of people think it's for the whole box, that's what it has, and they say, oh, that is good, I'm going to take it. But imagine the whole box, it might be 20 cups. You know, you have to multiply whatever you have times 20 in order to
and
get
a
for
lot
the whole
of that
box.
is going to be the highly processed corn-based
Exactly.
sugar.
Exactly.
We are past the halfway point, so next time we'll talk about calories intake because that's a whole show.
That's the whole show.
Okay, so we're sitting there and we are in a food aisle, and they have a whole aisle. We're not even going to talk about soda pop because we don't want to go down that aisle. But we are in an aisle, and they have 1/4 of that aisle is salsa. Salsa is more popular now than mayonnaise and ketchup. Now, how do I buy food? Or do I even go down that aisle?
Just only look at the label and look at the ingredients. Those are the most important things. And we need to learn to do these things. Every time I go shopping, although I basically memorized everything in the aisle and what should I take and which aisle should I go into.
But it changes.
But it changes. And also, labels on the product deceives you. Say non-fat or full or fat-free or low in calcium, or low in sodium or something like that. Don't be fooled by those.
Or reduced sodium, which is
reduced sodium.
That is an awful one because even in their reduced, it's reduced from what they used to have, but one serving could have more than what you should have in a day.
Correct. You need to read the labels. Although, as I said, I got used to it, but still I read the label every time I go to the grocery shopping. And I don't buy that much salsa because you have to eat it with chips. That chips is not good for you. But even if I buy it for some reason, I buy it. I try to get whole wheat bread and cut them in smaller pieces and put them in the oven and use those as a chips, or pita bread as a chips or something like that, something healthier. But still, I try to avoid to buy them anyway.
Oh, I have recipes for salsa as an ingredient in
casseroles. That's different. When you make it at home, you know what you put in there. That's okay.
But there are times when you need to find something because you're in a hurry.
Right.
It's what I call the cost of convenience. And the cost of convenience is not just money, it's nutrition.
Exactly. But, one thing about shopping, I have to mention that never go shopping hungry. Because when you go hungry, you always make a wrong choice. But when you are full and you are in a shopping area, then you make a better choice when you go.
Now, we are shooting this at the end of January 2014. And we are in the midst of yet another bitter cold. Now, my body would love to have some meatloaf, mashed potatoes, gravy, maybe some broccoli on the side, but smothered in cheese sauce. All the things that...
It's not good for you.
Yes,
basically.
But food is more than what you're taking in for health. Food is memory. It's comfort. Now, if I'm going out to eat, how do I avoid that?
It's going out to eat. If you're going out to dinner with your friends, for example, the best thing is before you leave home, you take a healthy snack. So you're full. You're not that much craving for food when you go to the restaurant. And usually people, as soon as they sit down, they indulge on those buns or bread baskets or something. Then you don't have to do that and wait for your food to come. When your food comes, usually, as you said, they're supersized. The best thing is ask for the takeout box. As soon as your food arrives, put them on a takeout box, half of them. Half goes on there, and the other half is probably the correct portion for you to eat. But if you go to the party, do the same thing. Eat before you leave.
But you can't ask for a takeout box. It would be very impolite.
In the party, yes. But when you are not hungry when you go to the party, you make a better choice of food when you're there.
And the other thing is, from a planning for a party side, you figure that 7 bites per guest, and if you go to the party and you're starved, and the first thing that comes out, you're going to fill up on that before, shall we say, the more appropriate things starts being passed or put on the table. Or if you're going to a dinner party, and I have a friend that always puts out cheese, and I love cheese. And if I don't watch myself, I really don't need dinner by the time I've dealt with the appetizers. Yes. So this idea of eating something to curb yourself. What do you do? Apricots,
grapes, sometimes.
Miniature carrots.
Right. Miniature carrots, actually those little carrots are processed. I have seen them, how they process them. They're not good for you. You try to get the regular carrot and cut them.
She's hurt me. I love miniature carrots.
I know. I love them too before I really find out how they really made them with chemicals and things, and you don't want to eat them. And get the regular carrot, just cut them in pieces, smaller pieces, and
put them in the fridge.
Put it in the refrigerator or celery, and it's really good.
Remember the little packages we made and carried around for our children many years ago? We're now functional children. We need to make them and keep them around for us.
Yes, that's, olden times people eat much better. Although they eat a lot of fat in their food, but still they eat healthier in general. But, for me, if I want to eat butter, for example, if I feel like putting butter in something, I use real butter. Although it is, they say it's not good for you, but it's good for you if you just use it at the correct amount. But these artificial things, I never, ever go towards them.
Margarine used to be a wonder food. Now they tell you not to eat it.
It's because of the there are hydrogenated fat that
it's a few molecules away from plastic, as the family and consumer scientists tell me.
The other thing is, olive oil and oil and grapeseed oils are really good for you, but
in moderation.
Not too much. Sweets and desserts are okay, but as long as you take them at the size of the dental floss box, not as we learn to have too much of them.
So thinking card size, look at the dental floss box to figure out what size it is. That's a new one I've never heard. That must be Persian. I've never heard that one before. But there are little tricks to do with this. And don't think of it as a diet. Think of it as a game you're going to win.
That's the most important thing, is how to train your brain towards it. Because this is a lifetime commitment, going on a diet. It's a lifetime commitment for you and the people who live with you. You cannot go on a proper diet and your family don't, and they eat all these
The worst thing in the world is to have my husband's snacks there when all of a sudden I walk past them. It's very hard not to put your hand in the bowl. And I'm only going to have one. Well, that breeds.
No, that's it. If you have one, you have to have the rest of it.
Yes. Now, we want to leave people with the important thing that they should remember from this episode. And if you get in touch with the station or the email, Ruben, would you please put my email on the website? If you get in touch with us with questions, we will build a show around them. We're flexible. We have a lot of training in this. We don't know what you need to know. You've got to help us here.
That's a very good suggestion. And one more thing I wanted to just finish the program. You brought up the weighing yourself. Weighing yourself, people got used to go on the scale every day or once every couple of days. That's not the proper way of doing it because it depends how much water is in your body. So weighing yourself once a month is that's appropriate. Use the same scale that you use to weigh yourself, in the first place. Weigh yourself early in the morning, after you went to the bathroom and emptied your bladder, and weigh as less as possible as you can. And that is very important. And put the scale at the same spot that you always weigh yourself. I wanted to finish with that too.
Okay, and that's because the floor may be uneven, or
That's
you
correct.
could be on a rug or not on a rug, and people don't understand that all that stuff changed. There is no right and wrong. It's all about choice. So thank you for joining us, and hopefully you'll see us next time and join the conversation. Thank you, Azar.
Thank you, Marsha, and thank you for having me here today. And I'm looking forward for the next program.